Hello, everybody. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. Good to see everybody. At least I hope you're on the lifeboat. So, give everybody a couple of seconds to get in here. I'm playing. Got a couple of things I got to do here real quick. But the internet is up and running. I see Charlie Mullen's name. I see Alan Ballantyne. Always good to see Alan. We've got Deja back. Good to see you, Deja. Great to have you on the boat. All right, people. So, here it is, Sunday at 3 o'clock, and we are here. Which means, obviously, that I didn't destroy the internet today. It's a good thing. I want to thank everybody that's been taking the time to get on these live feeds, and most importantly, to take the time to help one another. There's a whole lot of really positive stuff going on here, people, and I couldn't be more happy with how you people treat one another, and that's really good stuff. We've gotten through, oh, I see Kathy. Good to see you, Kathy. We've gotten through some subject matter here without allowing emotions to take over and run what we do. And that really is, it makes us so unique, especially in this day and age, where it really seems like if by some chance you're not on the same page, you just have to hate the person that disagrees with you. And that is just an awful state of affairs that we find ourselves in. Kiss Freak, my man, or Chris, my friend. Good to see you, Chris. Glad that you're here. Alan Valentine, always a pleasure. People, are you ready for the greatest coffee mug in history? How about this one right here? Can you see that? What happens on the boat stays on the boat. Huh? I have no idea how much I love this. Lady Fiona is joining us, and she says, hi, everyone. Lockdown is over here. Just sent his son to school. What's happening? Well, it's a Sunday at 3 o'clock. That's what's happening. And I was just telling everyone how proud I am of them that we here on the boat have the ability to discuss things, to agree or to disagree. Charlie Mullins, good to see you. To agree or to disagree, and we're able to do this without going at each other, without displaying all of the hatred and all of the angst that society seems to have made really popular. If you're new to the boat, then you probably haven't heard some of the discussions that I've done in the past concerning the news, and not just news, but social media. The news is the easiest to pick on because it's so blatantly obvious. By the way, people, can I get a 5x5? How do we sound in terms of the voice today? Bubba, good to see you. Jacob Forrester, good to see you. Sounds good. Okay. Spanx Calhoun. Oh my goodness. Spanx, it's so good to see you on the boat. That's awesome. Really, really good. Not too bad, he says. All right, good. We're people, I have a new microwave on very echo, someone says. Voice is a little distant but bearable. All right. Sound quality is poor. Let's see what we do here. How does that sound? Hopefully that's going to be a little bit better. I hope so, because it's what we're going to have to stick with. Since the other one is giving some trouble, we're going to have to go with this. So let's hope. Better, bit better, better. Okay, good. All right, people. So in the past, I've had an opportunity to talk to you about the news. We pick on the news because it is the best example of what I'm about to talk about. Right now in this country, there is a vested interest, and in the world, to be really honest, but most assuredly, the vested interest in this country is really thick. We have a vested interest in dividing the country into two distinct halves, right? And they don't care which halves they fall into, providing we can divide them down the middle, right? So the bigger the division, the better. We have, oh my goodness, Chase the Heat. My brother Johnny is in the house. Johnny, good to see ya. So if we can divide people by race, fantastic. They want to start there. Democrat and Republican is a great division, right? Because it's pretty close to a 50-50 split in this country. What they're trying to do is get their audience to a very very specific segment of the society. And by doing this, they know how to play to that audience exactly in 30-second to 1.5-minute sound bites to keep their audience from picking up the remote control, right? Doesn't matter what's going on in the news, providing you can keep the people that are listening to you all agreeing with one another. So our news channels split down the middle into two different sections. And you've got ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN, headline news, all of those lean to the left. Then you've got Fox News, which has the largest of the market shares, and some of the newer channels that lean to the right. There's a couple of new ones that have just popped up that are gaining in popularity. But again, it doesn't matter which one you pick. What they're going to do is play to your exact opinion. So if there is a public shooting, a school shooting, anything that is just in the news and disturbing, it's not enough to tell you the news anymore. The news used to be who, what, when, where, why, right? Why became real dicey. Why used to be, we're not really sure exactly why this person, did what he did, or she did what she did. Now, why means let's have 5 pundits come on and tell you that the reason that this shooting took place is because those lousy Republicans will allow anybody to get a gun and do whatever they want with it. If you turn on the other channel, you're going to have people saying, you know why that shooting took place? Because there aren't enough people with guns in their hands. If we could have had somebody there with a gun who was a good person, they would have stopped the bad person with a gun. People, I don't care which side of the aisle you stand on. I just want everybody to take a look and be aware of what's going on. They are trying as hard as possible to divide us down the middle. The beautiful thing about the boat, the reason that people keep coming back, the reason that we're growing at the rate that we're growing is because we don't buy into any of this garbage. We did a topic the other night on a live feed about the legalization of drugs. You want to talk about a polarizing subject in this country or any other. And I got a chance to go back and read the comments in the live feed, and it was really amazing to see there were a bunch of you that disagreed. There was a definite, both sides of the argument. The crazy thing was people actually listened to the other side, right? They listened to the things that people said, and then they came back with intelligent counterpoints, but nobody said anything like, you jerk, or how stupid are you, or any of the things that we just hear constantly. There's been a big joke, right, going on recently with Let's Go Brandon. You've heard this chant. You know what they were really saying. People, I don't care if you like the president or you don't like the president. Are we really in a place in this country now where we can chant, F the president, and that's okay? It doesn't matter if you think the guy's a bumbling idiot or if you think the guy should be on the $5 bill. There used to be a level of respect in this country. Barbecues used to have Republicans and Democrats in the neighborhood that would get together, and there'd be a little gentle ribbing. Someone might pick on someone for being, from the other side of the aisle, but never, ever was there something where someone would say, well, I'm not inviting so-and-so because they voted for Joe Biden, or I'm not inviting so-and-so because they voted for Donald Trump. This is where we have arrived as a country. Now, you're wondering where I'm going with this. Today, we're going to talk about emotions. As you start to get clean, as you start to get drugs out of your system, a really crazy thing starts to happen. Emotions that you haven't felt for as long as you've been on the drugs start to really come to the forefront, and they start playing. These emotions start to take over what's going on in your mind and what's going on in your life. And if you have spent 15 to 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, 6 months, right? 17 years, Joe Birdwell. But if you spent all of that time drugging your brain, you may think you felt every emotion on the spectrum, but the truth of the matter is you didn't. When you're on drugs, the emotions that you feel in the brain are really seriously skewed. Whether or not we like thinking about it in these terms, emotions are just a chemical response in the brain. Depending on how you want to define it, there's a bunch of different definitions for emotions. But emotions help us to survive, to take action, to strike and avoid danger, right? These are what these things were designed to do. They help us make decisions, and they help us to understand other people. That's really what emotions are supposed to do. If you start looking from a chemical standpoint of what goes on in the brain, what is the strongest emotion? If I said, what is the strongest emotion that we can feel as a human being? right? From a purely chemical setup, what would be the thing that jumped out at you? What would you think is probably, yeah, that's got to be the strongest of all emotions? Well, it's love. It really is. The strongest human emotion, the one that affects us the greatest in the brain, the one that releases the most chemicals and does the basically the one that's the busiest in the brain when you're feeling an emotion is love. Now, if you think about that, people, you do realize what this means. It means that if you decide to go through life hating people, you honestly have to work harder to make it happen. You have to put out more effort to be a hater than you do to be a crew member on our boat. The people here bring a very unique attitude, and in doing so, amazing things happen. People start to support one another. People start to care for one another. But before the end of this live feed, somebody on this, on the channel is going to realize that someone's not in the comment section, and inevitably there's going to be the, hey, where's so and so? And then back and forth, people are going to say, you know what, I haven't spoken to him since yesterday. I hope he's all right. And then someone will chime in and say, no, it's all good. From what I understand, he's working today. These are really beautiful things that take place each and every day on this channel. And I'm not bragging, people. I mean, well, of course I'm bragging, but I'm not the one that did this. What I did was I came here and I started to talk about sobriety and about drugs, what happened in the comment section, and what has happened with all of you and the support and that you lend to one another, and the attitudes that are the prevailing attitudes on this boat. Those are you people. I don't dictate how people feel. That's not what I do. I couldn't if I had the ability. I wouldn't do it. What I do here is I try to put a forum together where people can come and talk about things that are really important to them that the rest of the world doesn't want to hear. That's really what the goal was. I wanted people to look at drug addicts in a different light. I wanted people to realize that drug addicts are people too, and they're just like everybody else. And what's astounding is society refuses to treat drug addicts the way that they treat other people, right? Drug addicts are treated as if they are fifth-class citizens, right? Lock him up, throw away the key. If he was stronger, this wouldn't have happened, right? Well, he's a weakling. That's why he can't quit. His parents should have beat him more when he was a kid. The first time they caught him doing drugs, if they had beat the crap out of him, I mean, you hear these things every single day. The funny thing is, not funny, haha, but the funny thing is that according to statistics, 48% of everybody in this country either has a drug problem or someone in their immediate family has a drug problem. And we've done this before. Immediate family would be mom, dad, sister, brother, right? Son, daughter. Immediate family, not third cousins, aunts, uncles, any of that. So the lion's share of society is currently affected by drugs. And I mean personally, not just, something going on in their life. If we want to extend it out into that range, there is nobody in the United States or on any other place on this planet that isn't greatly affected by this, I was going to use the D word, by this affliction, by this phenomenon. Yet, in spite of the fact that everyone's lives are touched by it, there is still just that stigma that will refuse to treat people as if maybe they just deserve a little bit more love, right? That maybe this entire thing, maybe this entire epidemic of what's going on with drugs and drug abuse around the world could be cured by love. It's not something they've even thought about trying. No, the easiest way to do it is to take someone who has a drug problem and lock them up. And if you're smart, right, what you do is you lock them all up together and then put them in there with other criminals who have robbed banks, who have, broken any number of laws, so that you can put them all together in the University of Crime, and you get somebody that comes in off the street whose only real sin was the fact that they couldn't quit their substance of choice. When those people walk out of prison, they walk out a very different person than the ones that walked in. You understand what I'm saying? So oftentimes, somebody walks into prison, a drug addict, a person that just made some mistakes because they could not get off of a substance, and then they walk out of prison a hardened criminal. They just graduated with flying colors from the University of Crime. And I'm not telling you this, people, from some book I read, right? This is something that I went through. I watched people ruined in prison. I watched people come in one way and walk out a completely different human being. The way we treat addicts in this country is to lock them up. That's the theory. Doesn't work, right? We can admit that. If we start to take a look at the emotions and we start to take a look at how drugs affect what we do emotionally, we can really start to take a look at why society chooses to treat us with the emotions that they do, right? Because honestly, none of it makes any sense unless you start going back and you do a little research. And what you realize is that rehabilitation, I'm wondering if this Bubba is the Bubba I think it is. Bubba, is that the Bubba I think it is? I do believe it is, people. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Treat a medical problem like a medical problem, not a crime. Jacob Forrester, absolutely. I mean, just a very, very solid statement. If you go back far enough, what you have to realize is that rehabilitation is a business. Plain and simple, it's a business. And if you go back far enough, there was no rehabilitation business, right? Because quite simply, you couldn't rehabilitate somebody. That was Brandon. So good to see you, brother. Damn, I'm glad you're here. Great to see you, man. Great to see you. Please don't leave, Brandon. I need to talk to you later, but I don't want to start doing my squirrel routine because you know how that works. There was a time where we believed that you couldn't treat addiction in any way, shape, or form. It just could not be treated. Yes, Bubba, good to see you, my friend. That is a gentleman that knows a lot about what I'm talking about, people, because Bubba and I actually went through what I'm talking about together. There was a time in this country where you couldn't treat, absolutely just could not treat someone who had a drug problem or an alcohol problem. So what you did was kept them away, like you've heard me say before, keep them away from guns and motor vehicles, and let's just hope they don't hurt anybody else, and let it run its course. Let this person drink themselves to death, drug themselves to death, whatever the case may be. And you have to realize that we really set everybody up for failure because until the 30s, all of these substances were legal anyway. You can go and get them wherever you want, do whatever you want, and then all of a sudden, bang, everything's illegal, and we started to create this prison industrial complex where we locked up everybody and threw away the key. As this is going on, two gentlemen started was to become Alcoholics Anonymous. Two addicts who said, look, I'll keep you sober today. You don't let me drink today. Obviously, I can't do it for myself, but I'll stop you from drinking today. You stop me from drinking today. We'll see what happens. And here we are, people, right? Tens of millions of people all over the world who get sober because two addicts figured out what a bunch of people with a lot of initials after their names couldn't figure out, that this can be cured, this can be treated. Well, if you go back to that time when rehabilitation first started, it was in everybody's best interest as the industry got going, not guys sitting in church rooms drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes, and talking about the 12 steps. But when it became an industry, when it became something that they could bill your insurance company for, there was an industry born. And that industry needed results. You really want to get paid, you have to show some results. So they started to look at what emotions drive people back to use more than anything else. And if you're on this boat, then you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? We're all in the same boat. But what's the one emotion people talk to me about the most? Guilt, right? Guilt is the emotion that absolutely drags more people down as an addict than any other emotion. Because think about it logically. Okay, you've heard me refer to it as page 2 or page 3 Tommy. When I changed from who I was to who I am, everything I did in the past doesn't get wiped off that chalkboard. I mean, it may in my mind, but in the minds of everybody else, it doesn't. And you live your life and you start doing well, and then you see somebody that while you were using, you really did wrong. You did things that basically destroyed this person. You did things, you lied, you did whatever the case may be. It's a very, very difficult thing to deal with the emotions that arise because of the things that we did when we were on drugs. If you're a member of the boat who's here routinely, then you remember when Ryan came on and said he was getting ready to go into medical detox. And he said, I can't deal, with what I've done. And when I look at my father in the eyes and realize The pain that I caused him, that look when my dad had to hear that his son was an alcoholic. I don't think I'll ever be able to get over that. This is what I'm talking about. And we all go through it. I mean, the question, I get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails a month of just people who ask just the question, how do I deal with the guilt from the things that I've done? Well, it's a very difficult question. Admittedly, it's a very difficult question. For me, the way that I dealt with it is I really began to segment my life into two very distinct parts. There was the before and the after. There was a great comment. I want to say it was L.B. Loxley, way back in the day, who said that addiction is like a dictator running a country. What we need to do is learn to hate the dictator. You don't hate the people of a specific country because they are run by a dictatorship. But drugs dictate what we do. So when I put to bed all of the things about me that I didn't like, and when I started this new Tommy, right, this new person, this new creation, the way I dealt with the guilt was to look back at what I've done almost as if it's a different human being. And I'll tell you something. People like Bubba, people like Jack, they could tell you that I am a different person. The person that I was when I was actively in there and using and being that guy is not the same person that's talking to you now. You really become a new creation. And if that happens, people, then dealing with that guilt becomes something that is considerably easier, because you know in your heart of hearts that you were not that person. How can you blame yourself for what you did? I mean, you still have to own it, people. I'm not saying that you get a free pass. You have to own what you did. But it gives you an opportunity to start to clean the slate. That really has worked beautifully for me, and it's worked well for other people's as well. However, that being said, in the rehabilitation community, this is not what they teach. So what they did instead was they came up with a very, very simple method of overcoming this. You know what that method was? Blame what you've done on somebody else. Blame what you've done on somebody else. Now, they don't walk in the room and say that. What they do instead, and if you've been through rehab, a lot of people will tell you, and I'm not saying every rehab people, but I'm saying most of them, what they're going to do is say, let's talk about your childhood. Let's talk about your childhood. Because I'm going to find something in your childhood that we can blame every single thing about your addiction on, and we're going to do it today. Again, it's not what they're telling you, but it's what they're doing. And then they're going to push all of your drugs, all your alcohol, all of whatever your usage was. Well, you had a tough childhood. This was the fault of your dad, or this was the fault of your mom. Or in a perfect world, this is the fault of both of them. You know, that if we can blame this on your parents, now we can clean that slate. We're going to get rid of the guilt emotion. And you know what that does? Their success rate gets better. You betcha. That's why when you go to see a counselor, the first thing they want to do is talk about your childhood. Now, is that logical? Probably. There's a lot of people that have really tough childhoods. But even if you had a tough childhood, you still got to own what you did, right? You don't have to be proud of your past, but you got to own it. It's yours. People, why do you think I come on this show and I say, look, this is what I went to prison for. These are the drugs that I've done. This is how I hurt this people. I destroyed this marriage. That was me. You know, when I first started, I used to get emails all the time. Bud, you don't need to share that much with these people. Of course I do. Of course I do. I own my past. And in doing it, a real benefit to that method is that no one's going to come up and say to you afterwards, oh, but you know what you did? No, everybody knows what I did. You know, I'm not saying you got to be the person that walks into a party and says, hi, I'm Tommy Scoville. I'm a heroin addict. And there are people out there that do that. You know, there are people out there who believe that you have to introduce yourself that way for the rest of your life. People, I don't want that for anybody. I don't. Own it and move on. We say all the time here that this channel is about owning the mistakes that you've made and celebrating the victories. We talked last night, right at the end of the live feed, and it was kind of a bummer because I wish it had come up earlier in the live feed. But we talked about the baby taking his first couple of steps and standing up and teetering back and forth. And as a parent, it is the coolest thing in the world, right? It's I don't know if Johnny is still on the line here, but Johnny and I were working for a company. We were doing some sales, and they had a product that was it was a precursor to Skype. Before there was Skype, this product came out. It was called Super 8, and what it enabled you to do was make a phone call through your television set, and you could actually look at the person that you were talking to. Now, keep in mind that this was Star Trek stuff, right? When this came out, we all take FaceTime and things like that for granted now because we've had it for a long time. But when this came out, this was absolutely ridiculous. You could see someone you were talking to. This was, I mean, right out of a science fiction movie. And here I am in the living room, and I'm trying to get this thing hooked up. I was in Salt Lake City, Utah, and Johnny was living in, I want to say Dallas, Texas at the time. He might have been in San Antonio, but he was living in Texas. And as he's playing with it, I said, you know, it looks good. It's a little bit fuzzy on the outside. So poor Johnny is in leaning and working on this thing. And his son took his first steps behind him while I watched from another state. But the excitement, and I said, Johnny, turn around, he's walking. The excitement of that happening was mind-bending. You know, it was really and honestly one of those things that you're never going to forget as long as you live. There's something so special about seeing a child, you know, stand up and start to, you know, teeter. But what's going to happen? A child's going to fall on their butt. Spanx Calhoun is in the audience today, right? He's watching. I remember his first steps, and I'm an old man. In fact, he's getting to be an old man. But I remember my boy's first steps. It was absolutely amazing. And he took 2 of them and then proceeded to fall directly on his butt. But I didn't go, hey, you just fell on your butt. You know, you fell down. 2 steps. Is that the best you can do? You just fell down. Sounds stupid, right? Somebody posted this in the lifeboat over on Facebook, and I absolutely freaked out when I read it. I took a screenshot of it because this people, has to be the attitude. That's what needs to be the attitude of society. If we want to fix the drug problem, if we want to win the war on drugs, we're not going to do it from the supply side. We're going to do it from the demand side. We're going to have less people wanting to buy dope. Then you get less dope dealers. You get less dope dealers, you get less people smuggling it. And it goes all the way up the line, right? This is basic economics 101. If you got less people smuggling it because you got less people buying it, then they'll make less of it. And we'll actually start to put a dent in this war on drugs. Grant Harper, I pray for the haters, brother. I love it. Good for you, man. That's good stuff. The world's got too much hate in it. We don't need any more of it. We really don't. We don't need any more of it. But the point being, we should celebrate the fact that somebody made 2 weeks sober. We shouldn't beat on them because after 2 weeks sober, they had a misstep. You know why people continue to use after that misstep? Because they can't face everybody. Think about it. You're out there and you're trying to stay sober, and there's been people that I've worked with so many times in the past, and every day you get a message from them. And it's the little thing on the phone, you know the app? It says 1 day, 6 hours, 13 minutes and 7 seconds sober. And they take a screenshot and they send it to me. Captain Tommy, check it out. And that goes to day 2 and 3 and 4, and they're sending it to me on day 15. I don't get one on day 16, right? I don't get one on day 17. I know what happened. And I try to reach out, and I try to get a hold of these people, and they're not picking up the phone. Because in their head, thank you, Fiona. Again, thank you. Appreciate it. In their head, they think, the captain's calling. He's going to yell at me. I will, Bubba. I will definitely get a hold of you, on my word. So they're all, assuming and anticipating the captain calling to yell. That's what's going on. So they don't pick up the phone. And the guilt of the fact that they took only 3 steps and then fell to the diapered butt, right? As a brand new child of sobriety, they just fell to their butt. And they think I'm going to yell at them for falling down. Or they think their brothers or sisters or people on the boat. They're all going to be disappointed, and so they just keep going. What's the point? Right? I failed. What's the point? I may as well just keep drinking. Please do me a favor and listen. I'm going to say this 6 times. I'm not even playing. I'm just going to keep repeating this because I was talking to somebody today, earlier, just frustrated. If you knew the number of emails that I get from people that say, I failed, Captain, I failed. I can't tell you the number of emails every week I get from someone that tells me that they failed. What's our motto here, right? What is the Saigon Cinnamon motto? Oh, and before I go on, I named Saigon Cinnamon. I did not name him after a heroine or after an opiate. If you really would like to know the history of it, I will take the time. I'll write it out for you. It was on another channel, and it had to do with a hot sauce. He had said something funny, and I said, be careful. I will grab that and make it your name. That's right, Fiona. Never quit quitting. Thank you, Fee. Not just for the... Yeah, thank you, Fee. I appreciate that. But our motto is never quit quitting. So when you send me over a message that says, I failed, does that mean you're not going to get back up? Does that mean that you quit? You're done? There's no more? I'm not getting back up. I got knocked down 7 times. I'm going to get up 7 times. It's not going to be an 8th. This is it. I'm done. What do words mean? They mean things. They mean big things. The words that we say, especially the ones that we repeat, become mantras, and they literally affect every single thing about what you do and how you do it. If you say, after taking that drink, or after getting high, or after doing whatever, I failed, well, it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. I promise you. Bye, Fiona. Nice. Good reference. It will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, keep using the word failure. Keep saying you failed. Keep saying you're a failure. You will become one. I promise you. I'm not busting on anybody. I'm not. What I'm telling you is not one of you is a failure. And don't forget to brush your teeth. Thank you, Fiona. If you don't get that reference, people, I swear to you I am going to explain it to you before the end of the show. You have to keep on getting up. We're not a boat that is going to beat on you. If you've been sending me your daily sobriety thing off of your app, which, by the way, I never ask anyone to do. It's great that you do. I love celebrating with you. I'm not telling people not to. But I didn't ask you to. So don't feel guilty about a misstep. You know, don't be. Get back up. Do it fast. I will celebrate you getting back up. That's what we do here. Get it? It's what we do here. We celebrate the first 2 steps. That when that kid falls to his butt, he doesn't sit there the rest of his life, right? In fact, usually, instantly, they roll back over onto their knees and they start teetering back up for the next one, right? Well, that's what we have to do when we're infants in sobriety. You take a couple of steps. In a perfect world, you're one of those guys that walks day 1 and you're dancing by day 3. I mean, that would be just lovely. And it happens. It happened to Johnny, my brother. It worked out. And I believe that it's happening right now for Joe Birdwell. You know? Now, if you look at the people that it happened for, there's something that almost all of them all have in common. Instant new connections, right? New points of contact. Instant. Joe is awesome, Fiona. There is no question. Joe has instantly started to make new friends, do new things. You know, Ryan's the same way. When you get to the point where all of a sudden this is the new thing and it's 3 days old and you're excited because you just quit, find some people who are going to be excited with you. People that you didn't know. Get rid of the drug friends you had. Sorry about your drug friends. Get sober and then go back and get them. Put the mask over your face before you put it onto somebody else's. Because if you don't, you're going to suffocate. You can't help somebody if you don't help yourself first. I'm 8 days sober. I want to make it to day 30. That's my boy. Huh? You hear that, people? Brandon is 8 days sober. That's steps. That's walking. Brandon, you didn't fail last time, right? Let's hear you say that, my friend. I did not fail. If you're 8 days sober, my friend, you had a misstep. You didn't fail. It was a misstep. You fell to your butt. Get up, dust yourself off, and we're going to celebrate day 30 with you on this boat. I promise you. I'm going to whip this thing right here and go, hey, check this out. Brandon just made day 30. It's a huge deal. It's going to happen. But I'll tell you something. Where you're at right now is a huge deal, Brandon, because you got back up. Right? Paul Coelho, the author, said the secret to life is to get knocked down 7 times and get up 8. Put in any number you want there. Get knocked down 3 times, get up 4. Get knocked down 50 times, get up 51. You understand? So I love you people. Don't send me an email that said you failed. Unless, of course, you have come to the conclusion that this is it. I'm just going to keep getting high for the rest of my life, because that's failure. That's what that means. I've thrown in the towel. I'm not going to try ever again. This is what I'm going to do. And I don't believe that we have that person on this boat. I don't. By the way, last night there were a couple of people in the comment section who felt comfortable enough to say, I'm glad that you people don't look down your nose at people because I'm high right now. Nobody beat on them. You understand? We do not look down our nose on people for anything. We don't, because words mean things. And if you start beating on people who are in the life, all we're doing is pushing away people that need help. Saigon Cinnamon, never quit quitting. Yeah, people, Saigon did not give himself that name. I did, and I can assure you that it had nothing to do with drugs. I rang him up last night and said, I know that some people said that that's they use Saigon Cinnamon as a nickname for a type of heroin. I said, if you're feeling some kind of way about it, and he said, no, you gave me that name. It wasn't about drugs. And I said, good. But I did want to come on here and let anybody know who thought maybe that, he had used that. No, I did that. I gave him that name. And I gave it to him long before there was a lifeboat. I gave it to him long before there was a Tommy Scoville show. This was a long time ago. And I'm still proud of that nickname. As far as all the ones I gave out, I think it's my best work. Really. It's in fact, it was so good that the T-shirt campaign, for the Never Quit Quitting is called the Saigon Cinnamon T-shirt campaign. By the way, people, if you haven't got one of those, you're running out of time. So you may want to pop on there and get that taken care of. They're those hoodies and those long sleeves and those T-shirts. They're I don't know how much longer they're going to be there. Grant Harper, good to see you, my friend. I'm not sure if I said hi. Bob, I'll be darned. Bob Common, good to see you, Bob. I'm glad you're here. Good to see you. Full of Hope. It's a lovely name. And remember, people, what happens on the boat stays on the boat. So, as we were saying, people, the taking it full circle, the rehabilitation community had a vested interest in making sure that everything you could do to blame your addiction on your parents, your wife, your anything that happened, an uncle. I'm not saying that there aren't people who had very, very traumatic lives in their youth who then used drugs as a way to try to cope with that. It happens a lot. I probably could look up the statistics and find out, what the statistics are on that, and I would be curious to do that. I may look into that, but because of how the world has changed, because of how people view drugs and how tolerances have changed, we have found ourselves in a society where drugs are so accepted. They're such a part of our society that what happens now is there is a phenomenon. They call it the addiction spectrum, right? This is becoming a very popular term in recovery, the addiction spectrum. And what that basically means is this: if you start using drugs, even if the drug is heroin, you're not addicted day one. I mean, people say that, and what they mean usually is, boy, the first time I did it, I knew I loved it so much I was in trouble. But nobody ever did heroin on Monday and got sick on Tuesday because they didn't have it. It takes a period of time for you to start to develop into a full-blown addiction, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, whatever the case may be. So there are people who fall somewhere along the addiction spectrum. When you first start doing drugs, they're fun. And when things are fun, there's no guilt. So these people go and they get sober, right meow. Okay, Saigon. But I'm pretty confident that I'm pretty confident that we've got a pretty good motto here. In fact, I think you were the one that came up with it. Never quit quitting. I do believe that is the motto, is it not? Anyone? Bueller? Bueller? So, you end up, people, you have this addiction spectrum, and people fall in different places along it. This is it's a developing concept in recovery, and it's a fairly new one. When I'm stressed out, I drop everything. Nothing comes before my sobriety. I like it. Full of hope. I do. I think that's probably a good thing. Nothing should come before your sobriety, especially early on. When you first start to get sober, it has to come first. Now, there are different approaches, to exactly what that means. Because for a lot of people, that means getting into this kind of an environment. Actually, not this kind of an environment, but a group setting. For some people, it means getting to a meeting. You'll hear addicts, alcoholics, people who are in recovery will say, "Boy, I need a meeting." And for them, that is exactly what it means by nothing comes before their sobriety. They need to get themselves around like-minded individuals who can support them. For some people, it means getting away from all people. It really, the key, I think, is to try to find out what it is that works for you. That's really sort of key, is to try to figure out exactly your program. You'll hear people all the time in rehabilitation talk about working your program. My program isn't your program. Everybody has a different approach to sobriety. One of the things about the lifeboat, and outside of everybody who's listening to me right now, when people describe the boat, you'd be really surprised at how they describe it. But I catch flack often and get emails from people who say that I run this cult style and that it's my way or the highway. And people, there are so many people on the boat right now who use the 12-step programs as the way to get sober. God bless you. That's awesome. It really is. It's not for me, but if it's working for you, that's awesome. And then we've got people on the boat who don't work steps in any way, shape, or form. That works too. However, in my experience, if you're not working a program, you're going to fail. So you can design your own program. You can pick and choose things from all of the different philosophies that are out there for addiction, right? From hypoism to 12 steps to Christian recovery to I was going to say Narcanon, although that one's really kind of different. But anything, piecemeal it, put it together any way you want, and come up with a program. But the point is this: if you're not working something daily on your sobriety, then you're probably going to fail. So whatever you design, that's great, but practice it, doing what you've done, what you've come up with. That's essential. And one of the reasons that the boat is important is because it brings people together once to twice a day. My outlook is my decision. Okay. It brings people together a couple of times a day, and those people, by coming together, it keeps you focused. Now, whether that's here or whether it's anywhere else, that's fine. It really matters not, as long as you are taking the time every day to focus on what you do. I know you're sick of hearing it, but I'm not going to stop saying it. Because for me, in designing my program, there are things that are just symbolic all along the way. And I get up in the morning. Swiss Vapor, did I just see somebody say his name? Swiss Vapor, good to see you. When I get up in the morning and I make my bed, it's the first thing of the day that I do. And it is a declaration of I'm a sober person. I don't do the things that I used to do. That small little victory every day starts me on my own path for the day. It is the first thing that I do, and it starts that itty-bitty little piece of success. And as I said yesterday, I don't know if you were on last night's call, you heard me talk about this, but when I was out I buy books on rehabilitation and things. Prison was my program. Did wonders for me too, Matt. It really did. I didn't enjoy it while I was in it, but it absolutely did wonders for me. Very, very structured. There's something to be said for that. Also, you're not going to go in prison, at least in the Fed system I was in, that bed had to be made. That was something that had to be done. Clothes couldn't be out. They forced discipline on you, and discipline is something that every addict lacks in a really big way. But as I was saying, I go out and I hit these bookstores, and I try to get anything I can pick up on rehabilitation, on drugs, things that I haven't read before. I grab them, bring them home and read them, put them in the library. But I saw one yesterday called Making Your Bed, and it was all I read was the back cover of it. But it talked basically about how that first little goal, that first thing that you're going to do, it starts today. It's the teeniest of goals, but it starts today, and it starts today with a victory. And by doing this, starting today, whatever it is that you do, have something that you get up and do each and every morning that it proclaims to the world, I no longer use. That proclaims to the world, this is the new me. You don't want to make your bed, don't. But, yoga for 10 minutes, standing in front of a mirror and doing daily affirmations, whatever it is, these things might sound silly to you. They are working the program. I have to go back to my live stream, people missing me. Stay quitting. Never quit quitting. Yeah. The lifeboat is making waves. Thank you. But whatever you do, people, have something that you are doing and working the program. It is an absolute... sorry, somebody just popped up on screen. Have something that you're doing every day, whatever it is. And honestly, I have found people, and I think most people in sobriety will tell you this, the more things that you do, like making the bed, brushing your teeth, all of these little things. You say, brushing your teeth. People, I didn't brush my teeth every day as a heroin addict. I promise you I didn't. I woke up dope sick. It wasn't going to happen. Nothing was going to happen until I had a fix. And then I had a fix, and, you sort of kick back, and having structure in your life. And if the structure is new, then you are creating new points of contact, new things. And you understand how, what a big deal that is. The more points of contact that you can create. And that can be working out. That's a new point of contact. That's something that you weren't doing. Yoga, prayer, things you weren't doing. Creating new memories, right? You remember Mark Wages, when I did the interview, was the first person that said it on here, but you got to create new memories. You got to push the old crap out. And you know what that does, people? It makes that rear view mirror thing get smaller and a little bit more opaque, right? Because in the world, we should be looking forward. Believe that. We should always be looking forward. The more time you spend looking backwards, the more time you spend looking backwards, the more danger you're in. Truthfully. Someone just said, I hope Mark is feeling better. I'm so glad that you said that. Truth of the matter is, Mark is not feeling better. So I would like everybody to keep Mark in their thoughts and prayers. Right now, he is not feeling good, and he's still struggling with a bit of a fever, and we need to keep him in our thoughts and prayers. He hit me up about an hour ago, maybe an hour and 15 minutes ago, and he said, Saigon Cinnamon, you got to go. Saigon, thank you for popping in. Hopefully we'll see you tonight. But I love that man. Great guy. Really is a good dude. He's been such a firm and faithful member of this boat for the longest time. When he showed up. In fact, I know when he showed up, we weren't even a boat yet. In fact, it wasn't even the Tommy Scoville show yet. He was one of the absolute originals, and he's been here the whole time, and he's just a great guy. But as I was saying, Mark phoned me about an hour and a half ago, and he said he was going to basically try to drag himself up out of bed and and try to come so that we could get this thing set up the way that we normally do it. So I wouldn't be here in the office. I would be on the boat proper, and but it takes effort. It's not an easy thing for him to work as a producer from another state, because for all intents and purposes, that's what he's doing. He's producing the show from another place. For those who pray, remember, God loves a trier. I like it. So I said to him, take the day. He said, well, no, I'll take off the first live feed. I'm going to try to get on the second one of the day. I said, look, man, take the day. go and take care of yourself, because what we really need is we need Mark back here and back here healthy. He is, well, here's the thing. You don't realize what a big part of what we do here on the lifeboat Mark is until he's not here. You know what I'm saying? Take a look at the boat and how it's looking right now. Looks like it needs a paint job. It looks like it needs to be cleaned. Mark is what makes this place look polished, and it's what makes this really look professional. Yeah, and I really hope that I hope and I pray that he's back here as soon as possible, because we need him. And Miss Fiona Crispin, if you're going to continue to talk about that ridiculous music, I may have to ask you to walk the plank. You know my squirrel thing, and now I got to see this stuff. It's just awful trying to stay focused. It's a good thing that what happens on the boat stays on the boat. Okay, people. So, believe it or not, when we start talking about emotions, if I said to you, how many emotions do you think that the human being goes through? How many? What do you figure? You start listing them off in your head. Well, we got happy, we got sad, right? Some of them jump right out at you, and when you start trying to go through it, I did this earlier as an exercise, and I came up with 6 no problem. And as I started to read and do a little research, there is a psychiatrist who claims that we have 3,200 emotions. Didn't really have the time or the effort to be willing to go through and read how this man can justify that there are 3,200. For my money, there are 10. And you're looking at happy, sad, disgust, fear, surprise, anger, love, joy, right? If you get into I just did a little of this just for laughs, people, but going alphabetically, when you start getting into the really, really, so many emotions are displayed as anger. You're absolutely right. Full of hope. Absolutely right. And you make an excellent point. There are a great number of emotions that just come across as hate. And likewise, there are a great number of emotions that can come across as all of the big ones. For instance, envy is a huge thing, but there are so many different varying degrees. Admiration, adoration, apprehension or appreciation of beauty, amusement, anger, anxiety, awe, awkwardness, boredom, calmness, confusion, disgust, empathy, entertainment, believe it or not, they call an emotion. Excitement, fear, horror. Again, fear, horror. And this is just one of the ones that lists 27. I mean, when you start getting up into 3,200, the minutia, how much they break these things down into the absolute tiniest of it's just, it's too much. It's too much. I think that we've reached a time in our society where people need to justify what they do for a living and in life, and everybody just seems to. Did you ever have squirrel chili? I don't know that I have had squirrel chili. I have eaten squirrel, but I don't think I've ever eaten it in a chili. True, and when you have resting Neanderthal face like me, it's easy to look mad about everything. That is funny. People, yeah, that was an excellent point by our new friend on the boat. A great many emotions get lumped into the bigs. And the bigs are happy, sad, disgust, fear, surprise, and anger. So many different emotions become anger. So many different emotions become sad. Grief and sadness are not the same thing. When you start looking at it in terms of emotion from a psychiatric standpoint, it's really different. It's a completely different thing. So, sorry, people, that was my chest. So a few announcements. We're getting towards that time of the day. So I got a couple of announcements that I want to make. I am going to be going live again. It's going to be at 6 o'clock. And that's going to be 6 o'clock for, that is going to be 6 o'clock from here on out. Matt Brown says, I don't know why there are a lot of things that are going on at once, so my default is just to go blank. Okay? 6 o'clock tonight, we will be going live once again. That is going to be the default time from now on to the end of time until the vote decides otherwise. We did put this to a vote, and you people decided that you wanted the live feeds to go at 6. That means that if I'm doing an interview, I believe I have one tomorrow night. So whether I do an interview or whether I do just a normal run-of-the-mill live feed, it's going to be 6 o'clock. No two ways about it. That is the time that everybody on the vote decided that, no, 6 p.m. in the Pacific time. I'm sorry, Full of Hope. All of the times that I announce will always be on the West Coast, the left coast. Oh, my Full of Hope. A fellow Ice Age animal. Yes, it's always, 9 o'clock Eastern. So 6 o'clock here on the West Coast, the left coast. Oculi Mortis' coast. So 6 o'clock tonight, we'll be there. Believe we have an interview tomorrow night, but I will announce that every morning, people, at 8 o'clock. We go up and we do the first video of the day. That tells you exactly what's going to be going on during the day, and works pretty well. It's something that keeps everybody plugged in. Joe Birdwell says, sorry, Captain, I just woke up. No sorry about it, my friend. Glad that you got a little sleep. It's good that, sleep is an important thing. Everything going well, though, Joe? We actually talked about you a little bit, so it probably shouldn't be too much of a surprise. So, people, if you have not been over to the Lifeboat on Facebook, please head over there. Check it out. It is it's a place that we run the same 4 rules that we run here. There won't be any talk of politics, right? And there won't be religion shoved down anyone's throat. Doesn't mean you can't put up a post that says that you're religious or whatever. What I mean when I say that it won't be religious is, number one, I won't be pushing my religion on you as the captain of this boat, and won't be allowing other people to push religion on you. Someone can say, you know what, if it wasn't for Jesus, I wouldn't be sober. It's not a problem. What you can't say is, if you don't accept Jesus, you're going to hell. Or if you don't accept Buddha, you're going to hell. Or how do you believe in this? You're stupid to believe that. That kind of stuff doesn't fly. But obviously, I'm never going to tell somebody to deny their faith or not talk about their faith. I just don't want you to try to convert people, because the most important things that we need right now is to try to help people get sober. And I don't want anyone's religious beliefs pushing anyone out. So, no religion, no politics, none. Don't come in there and talk about why this president sucks or this president is good. Don't do it. Joe, good. We'll see you at 6. Love you, brother. No politics, no religion. You got that? Okay. The third one is, don't curse. Don't put up a post that's got an F-bomb in it. Don't put up a post that's got 4-letter words in it. We believe in controlling your tongue. So if you curse in the real world, that's fine. But we don't want you doing it there. There are people who find it offensive, and my job is to make sure that these are places that somebody can come and talk about whatever they want to talk about without feeling like they need to feel self-conscious or anything else, and cursing isn't helping that. So please, no cursing. And then the last rule, plain and simple, we like to call it rule number 4. Mean people suck. I'm not having mean people there. I've caught flack for booting people out. Love is a 4-letter word. I'll tell you something. It's the only 4-letter word that works, brother. I think you know that. Love is just fine. In fact, love is the default setting on this boat. Ask Chi-Chi. Ask any of the people on here. In fact, who said that? Leisure, you know. So, I quit Facebook a while ago, sticking with YouTube. Jacob, it's absolutely your prerogative, my brother, and I'm not mad at you for it. And I understand exactly why you quit Facebook. Trust me when I tell you that I do. But it's a great place for people to go and get to know one another better. So it doesn't much matter one way or the other. If you're uncomfortable going over there, don't. But I want to make a place that people can come. If it's 9:25 and someone wants to drink, if they pop up on that forum and say, I want to drink, there's somebody there all the time. It's It's a little bit, I mean, yeah, if you leave a comment here, someone is going to see it, but you're a lot more consistent if you do it over there. You don't have to, but it is an avenue for people to have another place for support. I have deputized a couple of more people so that if I am not there, they can go and make things happy and safe. So it is, and it's taking off. I think we're rapidly closing in on 100 people over there that go and post and do all of that. It's a beautiful forum. But I understand those that don't like Facebook. Trust me, I do. And I'm not judging you for that. But my job is to put together as many tools as I possibly can, and this is one of them. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out and you've not sworn off Facebook, I suggest that you pop over there and take a look at it. I think you'll find it a safe harbor, very similar to the boat itself. You don't get anybody from the outside. It's a member-only deal, so everybody there is from the boat, which is nice. People, we're at the top of the hour. In fact, I ran a little long. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. This is the lifeboat. Somebody just said, where is my wrench? I would be willing to bet that by the next time I see you, you're going to have one. Alrighty, people, between now and 6 o'clock when we do the next speed, which isn't that far away anymore, is it? Do me a favor. Get out there and try to save somebody. All right? That's it, peoples. I'm out of here.